I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting of November 12, 2018, the Board of Park Commissioners of the Lake Bluff Park District, Lake County, Illinois. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart.
Here.
Commissioner Gordon.
Here.
Commissioner McHenry.
Here.
Commissioner Mossbarger.
Here.
Commissioner Patera.
Here.
Commissioner Wallace.
Here.
President Douglas.
Here. Approval of the agenda with some modifications.
Yes, if we could remove letter A, and then I'll discuss that during my verbal communications.
Under which?
Yeah.
Letter A, I'm sorry,
Under
new
new
business.
business.
Under business.
Yep. Do that. We have a motion to approve the agenda, modifying under new business, striking item A.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry.
Yes.
Commissioner Mossbarger.
Yes.
Commissioner Patera.
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace.
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Next is statement of visitors for any non-agenda items. Seeing no one who wants to speak at this point, then we'll move on to the next, which is, or any, okay. Verbal communications, staff.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention why we were removing letter A. So working with Chapman and Cutler, we received a call at 5:15 today from Eric Anderson, and he said, I thought we agreed that the board wants to move all of the debt, specifically to the golf course, to taxable bonds. And I said, yes, that was our intent. The way Chapman and Cutler wrote the ordinance, I don't know where they came up with this, to be honest, but was that we were going to do some of it out of our reserves, like 200,000 of it out of our reserves, the January payment that we usually make. And so I don't know where they came up with that. So these ordinances are really particular. So refunding versus some of the, it's just so technical. So they had to get their IRS department involved, and so they said, we want to make sure you redo the ordinance so that it's exactly how you want to phrase it. So there's no extra cost to us, how we want to do it. So unfortunately, we have to call a special meeting, and I just didn't know whether doesn't hold us back, and nobody really, Eric didn't go out with the bids or anything like that yet. So it was it's a parameters ordinance that basically, once the bids come in, allows the board president to sign off on it. So the question is, if anybody has any time on Friday morning, and if not, we just wait until after Thanksgiving that week. And if everyone feels comfortable, be able to do 4 board members, or we can wait until December 3rd when we're all here.
There's no repercussions, there's no penalties.
No.
It's just.
No, it's just the sooner we do this,
Well, we got a 90-day,
we have 90
we got a 90-day window.
Yeah,
to do
Eric feels very confident,
Okay.
but
I thought the way that we were told what we wanted was legal, that we had to do it that way, but that's not what.
well, it's just a matter of how much taxable debt we wanted to take out. I can't answer why Chapman and Cutler thought something different.
Well, we're going to be together, I mean, we haven't canceled the special, you know.
December 3rd is our next meeting.
That's what we're doing.
If you feel comfortable, Eric absolutely feels comfortable.
Yeah, he's okay.
Okay,
So there's
So-
no reason to try to do something beforehand.
no, so then I'll email them tonight, they'll double check the ordinance, and then we'll post it for December 3rd. We have a public hearing on December 3rd for the tax levy, it's required, and then we'll call a special meeting to
Is that a committee of the whole?
the committee of the whole, so I'll have to call a special meeting just for
I
a
see,
meeting,
so we can act.
so we can act.
Okay.
All right, so, sorry for all that confusion. And then wanted to bring up, I think you saw my email today, Tim Rochford, our fitness and healthy lifestyle manager, took a job at a private fitness club in Glen Ellen. So I'll brief the board, down the road and what it all looks like. And so, but
When
I
is
just
his
wanted to
last day?
be Tuesday,
This Tuesday?
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
So Katie Christensen agreed to help out in the interim. She's terrific. We can have when someone takes on an interim role, we we compensate for that, and so, but she still wants to maintain her flexibility and that she has, so we're gonna just have to sort through all that, so.
So she wouldn't be a candidate?
Oh, she said she wants to help us out in any way, so.
Okay.
But I'll outline the board, kind of future plans and things like that. So it still fits into the whole reorganizational plan, so.
Good.
Okay, so just a couple of things. Right now, this past weekend, we just kicked off our basketball season. We did evaluations. Our numbers are still coming in, so we get preschool and kindergarten for the next couple of weeks, and we'll be putting teams together at the end of the week. I'm gonna project that we're gonna be right where we were last year, if not a little bit better, due to our new preschool program. We thought we would try to grab those kids a little bit earlier and get them in the program. Right now, we have about 15 kids enrolled, 10 from Lake Bluff, 5 from Lake Forest. We'll keep promoting it with our even within our preschool. We hope, next year that'll even build on some more. So we're really excited about that, adding that new preschool program. And actually, our 3rd and 4th grade girls was the exciting news. 28% of our total enrollment comes from the 3rd and 4th grade girls, which last year we could barely make 4 teams between the two communities. And this year we're looking at about 7 teams. So we're really excited that that program has grown. Just update too, everybody's feeling the cold weather. We will be filling the ice rink actually on Tuesday this week. Talked to Noah Mock and he's all set, ready to go. Yep, tomorrow he's gonna flood it. So I don't know when it'll be ready, but we thought we'd get a jump start on getting that ice rink going. Finally, we have our 2nd annual Candy Cane Express. We can take in 135 passengers. This is a new special event. It's about $30 per individual to sign up. And we've been full now for about 3 weeks. So yeah, it doesn't happen until December 1st. So we're really excited. We've got a wait list. We can't really grow from there. So it just kind of hit the maximum amount.
I forget from last year, what are the particulars to the Express?
So they meet at the Metro train station on Saturday, December 1st. They get an opportunity to take photos with Santa. We do some gifts for the kids. Santa hands out some nice stuff for them. They take a train ride on the Metro. I forgot where we switched it this year. We made it a little bit of a shorter ride compared to last year. We felt like that might have been too long. So we get off the train then, I think in Glenview, and then they'll get on another train and come back here. We have 2 cars. One car will have Santa. The other car has Santa's elf. They do songs and, they get coloring books and they have activities. And then another train with Santa, they just get to visit with Santa and that's what they want.
Which isn't a bad thing.
No.
I do want to let you know, Noah has lost 3 staff, his year-round staff, so Noah is doing the best he can on his own. So again, these are year-round staff, and it's been really hard, some getting full-time jobs. So, and Mike has been to the max with trying to find staff to fill this facility, so everyone's just, be patient with everybody. They're a little bit on edge right now, so they're working hard. I have to give them a lot of credit. They are working so hard to fill all the gaps in. So we are looking at potentially for snow removal. We might have to bring in contractual for that. We are down to maybe without Rob and Nate to maybe down to 3 people in the maintenance.
Can the school help us?
We're calling the village. We've been calling everyone. So we'll let you know what we end up doing. That's our report.
Okay. Any communications from our various committees?
No.
We do. Well, we're from a financial planning committee, just a bit of an update. So we met this week again with Ron and Bob and Rob to primarily discuss the budget. And we're lining up towards hopefully having a 30-page binder
versus the
Wow. 2-inch
Nice.
binder,
That's impressive.
Nice.
right?
Good girl.
So,
Really?
Ron, Rob, everyone's doing a lot of work. We're trying to condense and keep it at a higher level in terms of the trends, the highlights, the what you need to know in terms of what's in here, and trying to not get into all the details of prior years with all the accountant level numbers and so forth. I think the team's still working on projections for 2018. The golf course stuff, they're kind of a little bit behind, but they're trying to finish the year for 2018 with projections and so forth, and then use those for 2019. So I think they're on track. Ron's thinking we're going to get a sneak peek at the financial committee level on November 20th, right before the holiday. And then he would like to proceed and have it printed and circulated to the board. I think we said the 28th. So Wednesday, the 28th, in advance of the December 3rd meeting, which is a little bit shorter than prior years,
But only 30 pages.
but it's smaller.
Yeah, just don't skimp on the font size. I don't want it to be big.
All right.
Oh,
You need
Duly
to be able to
noted.
read it,
I'm
right?
losing my eyesight, I can tell.
That's how we're gonna get 30 pages.
I know the tricks you're gonna play.
So anyway, so a little bit shorter, but hopefully everyone will be able to, if you're expecting, Wednesday the 28th, hopefully you'll have gone through it, and make sure that you're ready for the discussion on December 3rd. So December 3rd will be a discussion, and then I think 2 weeks later is when we want to do the final revision of the budget. We're looking at, financials with 3 years prior, just so that we can see some trends. And then in some cases, looking ahead 5 years, so we can see kind of what things are looking like, especially on some of the capital items and so forth. So a few changes from prior years. We're going to look at by program. We know that we have some areas of, where according to cost recovery models, we're not hitting what we need to be hitting. So I think you're aware of that. At your committee level, you'll be looking in. So we kind of have to make sure we're on the same page there. But certainly looking at, capital projects, various program accounts, and then looking at the fund balances across the board. So hopefully we'll get something here in your hands in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. In front, I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
to add, you'll see new allocations. So IMRF will be appropriate to the program or facility areas as well as staffing.
Right. So we're trying to give, kind of a more complete view of the programs and of what we call almost fully loaded costs, because sometimes it's deceiving, right? You think something, is working really well, but then half the costs aren't even included. So it's kind of hard to know, what's, if we're at the right level or not. And so that should help. I think we're moving in that direction. And so sometimes it makes it harder to compare prior years. And so I think that's why we may not have everything, but at least we'll have it at some level we'll be able to compare to prior years. And then I think that's it for budget, right? I think we're looking at, setting some targets to reduce losses in a couple of areas that have been identified as problem areas. We know that the golf issue is the biggest issue, which is going to, help us bring a positive bottom line. I think we're, in terms of 2019, which is going to be a great improvement versus 2018. And then lastly, I wanted to give an update. I was able to join a call with Colette Rasmussen and a company called Convergent Nonprofit. And they are a professional organization, they're a nonprofit, and they work with nonprofit organizations like us on fundraising. And so they could help work with us on fundraising for the park district and for future potential improvements to the park district. So something in the realm of $1 million, $2 million over a 5-year period. A lot of them are pledges, right, based on the right approach and the right case in terms of some of the donors. And so just piggybacking off of, you know, what the Golf Course Association has done, you know, seeing the benefits of fundraising, you know, I'd like you guys to think about, how you feel about that. I'd like to maybe get some thoughts from all of you as to whether that's something that you think we should move forward with and explore. It's not free, right? Nothing comes for free, so you kind of have to make an investment.
Well, my only question would be, the foundation is really, that's their mission to a large extent. So should this be done with the foundation?
I think it could very well be.
That seems to be the logical place for this kind of skill set, which,
Right.
yeah.
So most of it's outsourced, right, to this company, so we don't have to be the ones doing the asking, but we do have to kind of put the information together and work hand in hand, and potentially something that we split with the foundation, and then, you know, but then what happens to the funds and so forth. So, you know, I think it'd be something that would help us, you know, make some needed improvements in the park district that right now we don't really have another funding source for.
At least I can say personally from my own experience, I've worked with organizations that we've had consultants come in and they really help. Well, they interview and really help identify targeting individuals, and they help strategic planning and how to really get your end goal.
Right.
And then they can go out and measure it and just see what your capabilities are.
Right.
So I assume that's what these people are doing.
Yes, something very similar, and then they actually go and do it. They go do the ask.
And how are they paid?
Up front, so we have
Flat
to.
fee?
Yeah, well, I think there's some flat fees, some variable, depending on how aggressive and how fast we want the work to get done.
Gotcha.
So we received a proposal, you know, we can certainly circulate that. Potentially there are other firms that do this. I don't know if you guys know of any, or if this has been done in the past. You know, you guys have maybe looked at that.
I worked with one company and they were great, but, you know, that was with the Lake Forest Lake Bluff Historical Society.
Oh, okay.
And we raised $4 million. So that took about 4 or 5 years, but,
That's pretty impressive.
It
so,
is.
but, you know, it's, I don't know, Ron, just help me on guidance a little bit, because obviously seed money needs to be done for something like this, and can the district play a role in
I
that?
think this is a little bit different than maybe what you've used, this very unique approach, so I guess until I see it,
Yeah.
Right.
but very unique, so.
Have the friends have been involved at all? Have they know anything about this? I mean, I'm just asking. So, Jennifer?
Do you want me
No.
So they actually passed the name on to me when we were looking at raising funds for the golf course. And so I looked into it a bit. It wasn't a fit at the time because they wanted, you know, their goal is $1 million or more. And we were looking at, as you know, the $200,000, $300,000 range. So they haven't really gotten all the nuances, but they're aware that this group is out there. They forwarded this for some basic vetting. So I'm sure they'd be open to it. And I think they take a lot of the direction from the board.
I would think if Robson's, if we go down this path and we look to an outside source for contracting and fundraising, is you probably want to contact with the historical, Lake Bluff history, that's the official. But if we already had some experience with the same kind of thing, I would think we'd want to try to tap
Yeah, well,
that as well.
conceptually, I think it's a great idea, no question. It's just a question of how do you weave it all together.
Right.
But, yeah, let's.
I mean, we probably have to earmark some dollars, right? Kind of get kicked off. But at the same
$2 million.
time, but it's supposed to, you know, obviously pay for itself, right? That's done right, and the potential is there. So an assessment actually has to happen in order for us to get a confidence level from them as to how much they think they can get to. And then we make a decision, right? But the assessment period, you know, takes, you know, maybe, was it 12 weeks, 8 weeks? do an assessment, then they come back, this is what we think we can do. Then we make a decision, go, no go, are we ready, or do we need to do a little bit more work? So it sounds interesting, and it doesn't necessarily, add on to the workload of Ron and team, that we know that they don't have the ability right now or the bandwidth to kind of dive into that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, great. Well, I think it's
Worth looking into.
all ears, all
yeah,
ears.
okay.
The
So
one,
overall.
the one word of warning they did have is just on the fundraising cycle, they're concerned, of course, they're trying to push for doing it sooner, but once you get to an election year, then people are going after election donation dollars, and they said just to be aware of that, so if we could put it on an off election year, that would be advisable.
And what I liked is that it was over multiple years. So it's not just we're going after donations one time, you're done. They were actually looking at a 5-year view and saying, okay, we'll start and have some pledges that come in and so forth. The way, that you can actually count on some money coming in. We've got some projects that we may want to do, and then, so it seems appropriate. We're trying to not go to the taxpayer base. And so, and we know that we've got some potentially important improvements to do and so forth. So anyway, it'd be good to have it to be sitting on some money for once.
It'd be so nice. And you actually like to go after the corporate donations.
Yeah, it is.
Which we've never been able to really do.
Right.
Okay,
That's it.
yeah,
All done.
great idea. Let's explore and pursue it, for sure. Any other committee reports or input?
I don't have one. I just wanted to ask when the brochures come out.
I think it's the first week of December, towards the end. We're getting our first draft back this week, and then I'm assuming it's gonna be a quick turnaround for the second draft, and then it gets printed. So it'll be first, second week of December.
Thanks.
And then are we advertising at all in the Lake Forest one?
I don't believe so. I think they have to, what do you mean by advertising? Like all of our programs in the Lake Forest program?
Well, in particular, they don't have paddle at their park district. So
Yeah, I brought that up to Ed at the last board meeting that we had, so let me double check with
it'd
that.
be nice to get into their cycle, because there are a lot from Lake Forest that come into but I don't think we advertise there, so I think,
Cool as
One time.
I thought he did.
well, yeah. So whatever, kind of looking at whatever programs we have that they don't have,
Right.
because I know that there are some programs that we offer in our brochure that are actually offered by them.
So let's say they offer squash, which they do. Should we be advertising? I'm just asking. So it should be reciprocal.
I think
Yeah,
they
he's
are.
during the conversation, the intergovernmental agreement, so I don't know where we ended up with that. So
Right.
Let me follow up to see where they're at.
Do you
If
remember, Chris?
anything, I think
You
paddle would be
said
a
on
great
that,
one.
that committee.
No,
I think paddle would be great
we all agreed that it is part of the intergovernmental agreement that the board just signed to be able
to do that.
to do it. Whether it was executed,
Yeah.
I'm not too sure, so I have to, that was recommendations from task forces and so, but I don't know where it ended up.
Right.
So we'll be fine.
Okay. Well, if we could start somewhere, I would say start with paddle.
Yeah.
Be the first one that I would try, but
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll get back to
I
you.
would add pickleball too. That's just catching on like crazy.
I just don't know what they offer, if they offer. I
I
don't
don't
know
think they have pickleball.
either.
No.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll
well,
follow up and get back to you.
Yep.
I can just comment real quickly on
Sorry.
Parks and Beach, that the Village of Lake Bluff did put together a ad hoc committee. Jim and I were there. Jim helping out with the data collection of what we have at the beach. I was wearing two hats, as a resident and with the park board. I think it was a good group. They all came prepared. We've come up with what we believe is a good solution, at least a first step, and we're having village staff actually kind of run a litmus test on it to see really what it looks like. So, and we'll keep you up to date on that, but the goal would be to have some kind of strategy in place before next spring with the whole parking situation at the beach. Well, Jim's not gonna add anything, so.
No, you're just trying
He
to.
ran away. But it's work in progress, but I think it's tracking well. And facilities and programs, anything at this point? No?
We're going to meet in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Tri-board, haven't had one of those in quite a long time, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with the schools and the village on that one, but, Friends of the Parks, representing the report there, really, at this point. Any general comments? Well, I have nothing to report, in the president's report, so we'll move on to the next item, which is the approval of the meeting minutes on October 15th, regular board meeting. So moved.
Well, hold on. I got one comment. Marcia, on page 12, and I've been a stickler on this, but it talks about the savings from the next 5 years for the golf course. I just want to insert the word projected 2.1 million, because these are all projections. So. That's it.
Okay. So,
Motion to approve.
the minutes?
That was page 12, I'm sorry.
Page 12, third paragraph down.
Oh, right, so it does happen. I
Pardon?
But it should
misunderstood.
say project.
I just want to say
projected.
a projected 2.1 million.
Gotcha. There you go.
Okay.
Yep,
Are we approving both minutes together or separate?
7.
Separate.
Okay, so with that, move to accept the October 15th minutes.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Next is the approval of the minutes of the October 29th, 2018 committee as a whole.
On page 18, where it says Director Salsky explained there was 126,000 left in the special rec fund, I think you should reword that,
Okay.
given that there is no money left in that fund.
Yeah, that's-
So as modified, I will,
Okay.
How should it read? How should it read? I'm sorry.
Page 18.
No, I'm right there, but I'm curious to
There's still a deficit, I think, with Commissioner Mossberg, there's still a deficit in that fund, so it's not.
we will be using tax receipts in 2019 that will go into the special rec fund. We're going to use 126,000 of those tax receipts
Okay.
to provide for a portion of the clubhouse repairs. That's too wordy, but that's
Okay.
what he meant to say.
Okay.
So with that change, motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart, Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Next is the consent agenda. May I have a motion to accept November 1 and 12th, 2018 payables?
So moved.
Second.
And the roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. May I have a motion now to approve November 1 and 12th, 2018 payables?
So moved.
Second.
And the roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Okay, moving on, finance, 2018 October and year-to-date financials.
think the best way to approach this is, I know we'll be meeting December 3rd, and we feel we know where we're going to be at, bottom line, in 2018. So after all our projections, we're anticipating a loss of about $225,000. So we'll be going through that during the projections during the budget process. So I can go through October, but I'll just give you where I think we're going to be at, bottom line.
On page 45, I think there's a little bit of cleanup. On the revenue side, the health and fitness shows favorable 36, but then the comment says year-to-date revenue was 10,000 unfavorable when adjusting for lease proceeds. I'm quite sure. And then a similar on the expense line for health and fitness shows negative 32. It might be that 45 grand that we talked about.
Yeah.
It looks like that's the difference in the numbers, but
That's the proceeds from the lease still come in, right? Is that correct?
yeah, we talked about how when the budget was put together, it didn't include the new equipment, or
Right.
at least for the new equipment, that came afterwards, so maybe that's,
I'll talk with Rich tomorrow morning.
yeah, maybe it just
cleaned
needs
up.
a better explanation of what it is.
Okay.
And then on the golf club, month-to-date, year-to-date revenue was unfavorable because of flooding. That's certainly part of the reason. I don't think you want to blame it all on flooding.
I'm assuming that's the biggest majority of that figure, maybe? Without getting into that.
Probably not.
Oh, no? Oh, is that right?
Probably 30 or 40 grand of it would be a guess.
It's a small percentage.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
But the rest, yeah, we can talk about.
okay, I'll clean that up and work with Rob. It'll be good.
Any other questions or comments? May I have a motion to accept the financial report for the 2018 October year-to-date financials?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McKendry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the second item in finance, purchase cards ratification.
Really nothing out of the ordinary with this. One of the things that we are going to be looking at with the purchase cards, what gets a little complicated in our financial software when we go back and look at detail, is it's hard to find out what was in it. So we know, we have all the detail on paper, so Rob Romo's gonna be working on that so that we have the ability to go back and check bills and things like that, but there's really nothing out of the ordinary here, so.
Any questions?
No.
May I have a motion to ratify the purchase card payment of $32,935.24?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McKendry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Okay, next is the 2018 quarterly statistics report.
I really wasn't gonna go through this and present anything, it was just for on file. So this was going to be presented last meeting, and so there's just too much going on, so it's more for your files than anything else.
Okay. So, don't need to take any action on that, so we'll move on to the next item, old business, and that's the, well, actually, yeah, that's right, estimating the amount of annual aggregate 2018 property tax levy.
So this has been an annual agenda item where the Finance Committee talks about whether to make a recommendation to include the CPI increase in the next budget year. And so the Finance Committee, Rob Romo and I met and we discussed the impacts. And so the Finance Committee is recommending to include the CPI increase in the 2019 budget. So usually the board has a small little conversation about that. And if not, we move on, but at least gives direction for the budget that we're in. So we included the CPI right now, but in terms of our numbers, what Rob Romo and I have been working on, but at the board, we've had a lot of discussions over the last years. You can see on page 72, there's been some no's when we've taken it, half of the CPI, so this is our chance for the board to discuss, and then we have a public hearing on December 3rd for the public to be able to state any comments on taking the CPI and taxes in general, and then we approve an ordinance December 17th. So.
Any comments? All I can say is I look at that chart, and I appreciate you putting that in there, Ron, to give perspective over time. Our referendum was the 2015 period, as I recall. That's the reason why the board voted no at that point, because we just put in receipts for that referendum. But it's good historic record there of the CPI adjustment.
So there's no action item, but any direction of the Finance Committee and staff. If not, then we move on.
We gave ours, so, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll move on into new business, action items. First item is the golf club improvements.
So we talked at great length, October 29th meeting, and President Douglas, Commissioner Mossbarger, and I met with Golf Association members and Jennifer Beeler from the foundation. And so it was a great conversation to understand the improvements. The one thing that if the board does approve any improvements, it's really contingent. It's a request over to the foundation, and then they would make an approval. I've been seeing emails going back and forth, and if the board does approve a request, that they would hold a meeting immediately to acknowledge the board's request. So,
And that's all with the understanding that the foundation would be spending in totality without any monies coming from, a fund or whatever for us, that they would be doing everything, right? We approved or said what was 250 or something? But,
right.
okay.
So this is for the 250 amount.
Yeah. Okay.
We spent a lot of time on this meeting. I had individual conversations with Commissioner Patera, so you might have more at that meeting, so you might have more questions. So the number hasn't changed any. Gary still thinks 250 is 250.
Great.
All good with me?
Any comments? Well, may I have a motion to approve the golf clubhouse improvements as identified in the attachment, with funding not to exceed $250,000 and funding $126,000 from the special recreation fund, and request $115,000 from the Friends of the Lake Bluff Parks, and contingent on approval of this $115,000 from the Friends of Lake Bluff Parks.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossbarger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wells,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Okay, Next item regarding the clubhouse is the ACG contract.
Yeah, so in order to do any improvements, we do need to hire an architect to stamp drawings and make sure we're doing all the proper, improvements according to the village. We feel good with what ACG's been great with their fees every time we've used them, so we think we can be better than budget, but we want to keep it at this just in case there's contingencies of that, but we feel good that we'll be right in line and should be over, again, the 250 mark with any of their fees, so they feel really good about where we're at. So they're very efficient. We don't have a whole lot of overhead, and so they're more of a smaller operation than other firms.
Any questions? Nope. May I have a motion to authorize the executive director with attorney approval to execute an agreement with ACG LTD not to exceed $15,000 for the purposes of the golf club improvements as approved by the board.
And I would say, and contingent on the approval by the,
Well, by the Friends of the Parks.
okay. Thank you, sorry.
Tag that on.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McKendry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes.
Just to walk you through at least really quickly the process, so if, again, the foundation approves everything, Gary will, and ACG will finish up the drawing, tighten it up, get it over to the village for inspection of the actual drawing, and make sure that they're okay with it, or if we need to make any modifications. And once we have that approval, Gary can start to give a bid on items. So there's going to be a step in between that. If for some reason there's some vendors that we can take advantage of, if there's some people that can find us the material under 25,000 and labor, there's a lot of things Gary might be reaching out to. I might be sending out emails. So if there are some sources out there, I'll be sending out some emails that we think could match or give us some good bidding if we have to, or under. If it's under 25,000, we don't have to go to bid, but he would go get quotes. So we still have to pay prevailing wage. That's what we have to do, but it's whatever someone wants to make off of that project itself, where we can save some money. So anyway, so we're not even there with all the amenities. We're not close yet with in terms of the tabletops and carpeting versus, we're not there yet, but as soon as we are, I'll let the board know.
I'm excited.
Okay. Okay, next item is the Sunrise Park and Beach daily and non-resident membership fees.
Sure, so staff met with the Parks and Beach Committee back in October, and then after that meeting, met with the Finance Administration and Future Planning Committee to discuss some changes in our administrative policy, specifically to Section 7.5 in regards to commercial groups and business and corporate resident employees. What the changes are is basically right now, though that group can come in and receive one free individual beach membership. And so this change would be consistent to how we define it in the administrative policy, that they're not a resident of Lake Bluff and would not be able to receive a free individual beach membership. So that is what the change is. I know it's a lot of language in here, but that's how it's listed in our administrative policy. So everything in red would be the changes, which would be consistent to other changes within the administration policy. So staff recommends to go forward with these changes.
Okay.
Motion?
Sure. So moved.
Well, yeah.
Have to read it? Okay, move to approve the recommended, I'm sorry. Move to approve to eliminate the free individual beach membership passes for commercial groups and business and corporate resident employees and approve the administrative policy changes as presented above in red. So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and a roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes.
Guess I really messed up the order there.
I'm-
Usually you say it. I
Yeah,
thought she was
that's
gonna
okay.
just make the
That's
motion.
okay.
I thought she was just
Yeah.
No,
gonna.
I gotta.
I wasn't trying to bypass you.
No, no.
Misunderstood. Misunderstood.
Okay, I lost track of what we were in here. Sunrise, this is the Sunrise Park and Beach shelter rentals. Is that what we're going
Daily
with?
fees, daily and non-resident membership fees.
Oh, that's right, yes, yeah, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. So yes, the daily fees and non-resident.
So every year, right around this time, during the budget, staff is tasked to go back and look at feedback from the residents as well as research what other North Shore beaches are charging for memberships as well as for daily fees. Staff is recommending several different changes. So this is quite a bit different than what we've been charging in the past for memberships. And for daily fees, we'll start with the daily fees. Several communities, what we wanted to try to look like in feedback I've received, especially from young parents, that we charge too much for ages 0 all the way up. All of them pay $12. And so recommendations have always been if 2 and under, just kind of consistent with our pool, consistent with some other beaches, that we don't charge for 2 and under. So we'd be a little bit more family friendly. And that's more towards relatives of the residents that are coming in and bringing their friends as well as relatives into the beach. The other change was to go to a $15 adult fee, and that would be all the way up to age 65, and 65 and older would pay a reduced fee of $12. We would also still continue to do our military rate, and there's no change in that. That's $6 for the military to come in. Resident membership passes, we would no longer offer those passes. Non-resident membership passes, we would no longer offer that at all. And then we actually kind of roll it into a little bit of the dog tags. We're not looking at increasing the dog tags, except for the non-resident side. Currently, non-residents pay $150 per dog tag, and then they have to buy a beach pass for $77. We're saying that we only get 10 of these. We only have consistently every year, it's about 8 to 10 non-resident dog tags. So instead, we're thinking of offering $350. That was a recommendation for the Parks and Beach Committee. And Corey, feel free to, if you have, Commissioner McHenry, any comments from that committee. That was a recommendation from them to kind of just eliminate the altogether non-resident and just go to the 350 dog beach tag. However, they are not allowed, that is not a beach pass. So that's not something that they can utilize at the main beaches just for the dog beach. Okay?
We're a non-resident.
Non-resident, yeah. Residents pay $10. That's quite a bit of difference.
Remember, we want to sell it now, please. I wonder what.
Questions?
So the non-resident would not be able to have it.
Yeah, I think that's what
Beach pass.
Well, and have it in daily rate.
That's right, yeah.
Any other questions here on this? I have a motion to approve the recommended changes as presented by Jim.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
President Douglas.
Yes. Okay, next item is the Sunrise Beach shelters. I'll
So let me give you just a current, what the residents can do for renting a beach shelter. So currently, Sunday through Thursday, they can rent a shelter all the way to 10 p.m. They have unlimited amounts of parking, or not parking permits, which is really 75 is the capacity of the shelter. So that's how many we can issue. On average, it's around 20 throughout the whole entire summer for all the number of beach shelters that we rent out, how many parking passes we give out. Staff met with the Parks and Beach Committee. We discussed a change on the weekends, mainly, not the weekday. We're looking at keeping the weekday at 10 p.m. The weekend currently, we go to midnight, and the discussion was, and the consensus was Friday and Saturday until 11 p.m. instead of midnight. So that's how late they can rent the beach shelter. And then residents can request a maximum of 25 parking permits, and then each additional one is $50 the 25. This is to help reduce the parking down on closer to the beach on Sunrise, as well as to be consistent with our management, that both our security and our beach manager that we have down there in the evening to kind of assist them and help them out. They're there till 10 p.m. But they do help unload and load, so they can be very close to when most of them would no longer be there anyway in the evening. Corey, did you?
Well, so originally, it was suggested by the park district, well, why don't we switch from midnight to 10? And I was like, well, that's pretty drastic, to switch for 2 hours. And the reason I didn't think that was a good idea, and we decided as a beach committee just to kind of gradually, let's go to 11 and see how it goes, is because we do really well on rentals, and we don't want to discourage people from renting, because now we're telling them you have to be out by 10 o'clock. So we said, let's do a compromise and go from, instead of midnight, which sounds pretty late, why don't we move it to 11? Because I think the residents, it's a win-win. It'll help the park district out a little bit, but it's still a great service that we offer, and it'll help the parking and help the noise level on weekend nights around the beach. That's why we kind of decided to go with 11 instead.
And I might mention, Jim presented this to the ad hoc committee with the neighborhood last week. And it really showed, the park district's making an effort here to try to minimize parking as much as possible, at least from a policy standpoint. Even though it's still village streets. But they were presented all this too, and I think they were very receptive to the efforts.
We're just really tweaking everything a little bit. We're not eliminating anything. We're still allowing non-residents to bring their dogs. We're allowing non-residents to park, to come. But we think by doing this, it might eliminate some of the parking, help with the parking issue. We're just going to be part of fixing the problem, and now it's the village's turn to kind of pitch in.
So the shelters have to be vacated by 11, or all the cleanup has to be done?
So they have to be out by 11, and they get 30 minutes to clean up, right?
15 minutes to clean up, which, we're not, to be honest with you, when they do the midnight, they're getting out of there about 12:20, 12:25, but by then, all the guests have left. We don't really have staff other than security to help out. At 11 p.m., we might be able to make some adjustments where there might be a little bit more ability to help move along people out of the shelters quicker. But for the most part, I don't see them, we're not going to say, hey, it's a hard 11 o'clock, lights off,
Yeah.
you're supposed to clean up at 10:30. No, it's 11 o'clock is when the party's over with, and then the cleanup happens after.
So by the time everyone is done climbing the stairs or driving up the ramp, the road, the neighborhood, it should be quiet by midnight then. You're not going to get all these extra people.
1 hour early.
That's
Oh,
great.
yeah.
That's great.
Probably like 11:30.
That's nice. Yeah.
Any other comments? They have a motion to move to approve residents can rent beach shelters Sunday through Thursday until 10 p.m. and reduce beach shelter hours Friday and Saturday until 11 p.m. only. Residents can request a maximum of 25 free parking permits per shelter rental and can purchase additional parking passes at $15 per permit.
So moved?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McKendry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera, Commissioner Wallace, President Douglas.
Yes. Okay, next item, cleaning services bid.
Yes, so our contract was up for cleaning services, and staff did a great job organizing the bid. It's a complicated bid because there's different facets of the cleaning. And so 5 companies attended the pre-bid. We received 4 sealed bids. And I guess the great news out of this is the lowest bid was the company that we currently use. And they've done a good job for us. And we are seeing a reduction of 12%. So we'll be going from $54,000 to $46,500. I will tell you, it does help with the cameras. So the cameras that we have throughout the facility now, we're really double checking, triple checking that they're here and on time, and they've done a nice job with that cleaning. So that has helped us actually. But it's pretty rare to get bids like this, so we've been pleased with them.
If you'd like, just to give you a break.
I'm so glad that worked out. Because
I moved to-
the cleaning woman's adorable. She's so sweet and she says hello to all the kids.
It's great. She's very aggressive and she knocks on your door and she wants that garbage. So instead of usually it's sitting there for 3 days or that, so she's been terrific. She's been terrific.
So therefore, I move to accept the bid from Perfect Cleaning Service, Inc., and authorize the executive director on behalf of the Park District to enter into an agreement for an amount not to exceed $46,500 annually over 2 years and $49,000 in the 3rd year for the cleaning services specified in the bid document.
Or move.
No, yeah, because I read the motion, so.
So moved.
I guess so, yeah.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Fantastic.
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McKendry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace, President Douglas.
Yes. Next item, Community Church of Lake Forest and Lake Bluff.
So this
5-year
was-
lease.
This was a kind of a discussion that we had with the Parks and Beach Committee. Initially, it was for 10 years. Committee asked staff to go back and talk to Pastor Dickelman, and so in essence, they're looking to pay for all the things that they've been paying for in the past, but really paying an additional, or making an additional donation of $5,000 that can go into our capital fund for the beach. And really the main reason for that is security purposes, that they can plan out their business, I guess, so many words. It's been year to year to year, and it's discomforting when they have to do that. So we would build into a license agreement in case we're doing any work with the NSSD or anything like that, that they would have to find another location or find something else. But that was Member Russell's concern, but that can easily be done. So they're paying the same amount, but CPI increases, things like that, that we've agreed to. But to secure the agreement, $5,000 or $1,000 a year, willing to give that $5,000 to us this year
Strictly for the beach.
for the beach.
Okay.
We've had no issues with them.
All
They've been great.
Sounds great.
They're good guests.
Yes, real quick question, since I'm on that ad hoc committee. The parking for them, has that been trouble-free?
As a park district, we haven't had any issues with their parking, but I know that's been part of the conversation with that ad hoc committee as well.
Yeah. Just didn't really come up much at that meeting, but.
We'd just like to,
Not a big
yeah.
party time.
Well, yeah, this is true.
Sunday morning
If
at
it
8
doesn't
a.m.
bother Bob, I don't think it will
Yeah.
bother a lot of people.
Okay, well, any other comments? Can I have a motion to approve the request by the Community Church of Lake Forest and Lake Bluff and authorize Executive Director Solsky with attorney approval to sign a 5-year license agreement?
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please?
Commissioner Earhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner McHenry,
Yes.
Commissioner Mossberger,
Yes.
Commissioner Patera,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace, President Douglas.
Yes. Okay. Last item on new business. No motions needed here, but it's a quick look at the scheduling for 2019 regular board and committee of the whole meetings.
It's our annual look at the calendar, and we're required by law to pass a resolution not tonight, but by December. And we've been holding 2 Mondays at 6:30, but this is what the calendar.
Go ahead, Susan. Come on, you gotta ask
For
it.
11 years, you've asked the same thing, so why don't you? Let's go on well here.
For the record.
I'm gonna try one more time, and my final time, to ask if we can have the meetings start at 6 o'clock.
Commissioner Gordon, I'm sure you have a point on this.
For the
That's
seventh
This is
grade
going to go
year.
on record as well, that I answered the same thing. Well, I'm working at that time. so-
And I get that, I
And,
know.
we're not
Well, you need to get a
working
new job
tonight.
then.
It's a-
All good.
All good.
This is
All right, good. I just want to make sure you got that in.
Yeah,
Be
thank
Bob's-
you, Bob.
I'm going to be Bob's assistant.
But just notice, it will be good because once you see it in December, you can get it in your calendar. The January, remember January and February, there are 2 holidays, so we always choose the Monday following those holidays, so many of you go on vacation. So, that is it.
So we go on vacation, come back on Monday and do the board meeting?
Yes.
Good. It's all good.
Okay, well, no motion needed there, so next item is the written communications, community comments and correspondences.
Nothing.
Didn't have anything in the packet, so I guess that,
I make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
and is that all in favor? I'm kind of remember.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no nays, we're all done. Thank you, everyone.